show you guys the so I just checked to make sure I was calling it the right thing, but so this is a speed stitcher, as they call it. The way that it works, it has a spool of nylon or whatever it's made out of, thread anyway, in the handle. I filled this thing up like 7 times till now just for this one bag. The cord comes out the side, unrolls it as it needs it. So it needs to be a little stuck here. Okay. There we go. So the cord goes through the needle. So as you push it through, it feeds it as it needs it. So I'm gonna go around the entire rim, and I'll just keep the camera on, and I'll probably like speed it up once I did a couple of strokes. Zoom in a bit so you guys can see. Let's see there. Should be good. All right. So the first thing take into consideration when you're starting a stitch is which side this is going to go in, because you always want the visible side, the side you're going to go in, because here you control exactly where the hole is going to be. So I want to catch anywhere inside this lip so that I can reinforce this glued part. So these some places here I can actually put my hand underneath. The glue either wasn't there or didn't catch. So a good stitch right across this is going to be aesthetic, and it'll also strengthen the top of the bag. So I start from the left side, probably the opposite for a right-handed person. I'm left-handed. So I'll start here, punch it through. So on this side, when you pull back, there's a little loop, little length of, zoom in even more. Okay, I'll try to stay in frame here. So if you see that there's a little loop of cord that comes through. When you punch, that's taut, and then when you pull back, there's a little loop that comes in here. So on the first time, you have to pull out that excess cord. Okay, so that now you have the needle on one side and the end of the thread on the other. So if I'm going to do this on one pass, I honestly have my doubts that I have enough thread, but I'm going to try to get to the middle, because I find that the thread was a little low there. I'll have to change it. So if I want to get to the middle, you measure out the distance. Measure out the distance you got to do. Now I'm zooming too much, but anyway, it's more important you see the needle. So you measure out the distance of the wire. The wire is going to have to make it, like, go the entire length. Sorry. Add a bit more, probably half again more than the distance you want, because every time you pull in, pull out, and that should be good. And also, it really doesn't matter if you have to stop and start in the middle. It might even be stronger, because if one of the lengths get cut, then it'll only unravel from there. So from here, now that I have my length in the back, I pull out. All right, and here starts the more, not more difficult per se, but this is where the aesthetics comes in. So you have to start a line, right? You can't go all zigzag. Now notice Notice on this strap, nice straight. See here? So most of these things, most of this line is pretty straight, and it's all by hand. I didn't mark anything down prior to, but once in a while you'll swerve, and it's extremely evident when you do. If you don't care, then it's fine. It's just not. There's nothing structurally. It's not gonna like. The bag isn't gonna be less strong because there's a little weave in the line. It's just that aesthetically, like visually, you're gonna see it. You're gonna notice it. So, and here it's not a big deal either, since it's going to be mostly cover the flap. But so you just line it up about a 1/4 inch, depending on the look that you want. This is a pretty big distance, so I might want to go a little bit more, because like every 1/4 inch is a long time to. It's going to take me a while to get through, but whatever. So you punch through. Okay. So as you punch through, it feeds from the reel, and this end stayed there. So like I showed you, when you punch through, it's taut. You just pull back a bit, and one side loops out. So all you have to do to complete the stitch is pass the cord through it. Pull it, not even that taut, just slightly, just hold it, and then pull out. So because you passed it through, that does your first stitch. You just space it again about a 1/4 inch or whatever distance you want those holes to be, and then push. Goes through, takes a little bit more. This rope doesn't move, right? Every time I push in, it takes a little bit more out of the reel. So I pull back a bit, get the loop, get the end of my rope, and pass it through, and then pull out. And you just do that 100,000 times until you get to the end. And it might seem like, oh my god, that's gonna take forever, and it actually moves faster than you think. It's one of those things you just kind of get lost in thought, and it becomes mechanical. And it's the only thing you gotta make sure you do though is keep concentrating on where you're putting that next hole before. Once you got it in, then everything else is just, you know, the same mechanical movement every time. But your brain does have to pay attention that when you get out and you go to the next one, it has to be in the right line. I find this much easier than the saddle stitch with the needle. The saddle stitch is stronger. I might have said this already. The saddle stitch is definitely stronger since you have two. You're working with two separate strings, right? So this double the stitch strength for the saddle stitch, as opposed to this would just be a single stitch. You're just working with that one. I think anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just this one string going all through. So anywhere, if this gets cut on this side, the whole thing unravels, because this is just holding up. It's just a backing, so it's not really adding into anything to it. As opposed to the saddle stitch, which is the same cord, but it's both going back and forth. So even if you get it cut accidentally with a knife or whatever on one side, you still got the second length going through the whole length. So I think it's stronger. Again, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. This is how my mind is thinking about it. Switch that down there. There we go. Alright, so that's about as far as I want to get. So to finish it up, just hold get the loop back in and just pull a bit more out of the loop. Cut it. And you can pull out. And you get your two ends and just tie it off. I'm sure two is enough, but I'll put a third, snip off the ends, and there you have a fairly crooked stitch. But, so we still did about 1.5 feet in about, I don't know, 5-6 minutes, something like that. So it's not that bad. So I got half of the whole seam done in about 5-6 minutes. I'm going to continue on the other end, and I'll bring it back for. I might either start attaching the pouches, or I'll probably do the string next. I'm anxious to see how that's going to turn out. Alright, so see you later. Thanks for watching.